find out that when people get delivered, that is the easy part. The hardest part is to maintain your deliverance and to fight for your freedom, because your enemy is relentless and he's not going to stop. He's going to keep coming at you. And so you got to develop some strategies of fighting back to be able to keep him out. He's always looking around for opportunities in your life to express himself. Sometimes Satan will disguise himself as self. And it's easy for us to receive thoughts that we think are our own thoughts, but they're thoughts of the enemy. And sometimes Satan will hide in your personality, and you'll think it's okay. You'll justify those personalities and those issues, and you'll think, I'm just fine, I'm just doing good. But the reality is Satan hides in self. He would rather you worship him without knowing you're worshiping him than for you to worship him directly. So he would rarely show up personally to you and demand for worship, but he can hide in yourself so that you can worship him indirectly without even knowing. So how do we defend this home? Because your body is a home. Your body can be the home of the Holy Spirit, or your body can be the home of demons. Demons look at your body as a home. They see it as a dwelling place. They fight to maintain it. Once they get grounds into your body, then they want to fight to maintain their stronghold in your body, because your body is a good place for them to find expression. The way they can feel and the way they can express themselves is through your physical body. They want to use your body to express themselves. They want to use your body to express their tendencies. It is the same thing with God. Even when God wanted to come on earth, he had to find a physical body. He found the body of the Son of God, and he was willing to yield himself to the point of death. Tested in all areas, yet remaining faithful to the end. He was always consistently ever committed to the voice of God and yielding to obedience to the voice of God to the point of death. And we have no excuse. He wants us to do the same. He wants us to yield to the voice of the Spirit even if we don't feel like it. You see, feelings is the arena of operation of the devil. The devil relies on those five senses, and your feeling and what I feel, and I feel this. Get out of the feeling, because that's the enemy's territory. Begin to discern deep within your spirit that you are a spiritual personality by essence. You are a spiritual personality. You have an experience that is called the soul, which is the mind, will, and emotion. But your body is a slave of whoever is in charge inside. So if God is inside, if God inside of you is in charge, if God is the ruler inside of you, then the body becomes a slave of whoever spirit is ruling deep within. So I want to teach you about the defense techniques that you're supposed to use as a child of God to engage the enemy and to win the battle. I want to teach you how to fight the battle and how to win it. These defense techniques that we're talking about, they can be used in your thought life. Okay, how many of you have some kind of security system in your house how many of you have like a security system in your house that you used to, you're protected by Vivint and by the angels of God. Or you're protected by ADT, and then you have the layer of the angels of God. So a defense system can be used against defending against the intruding forces of darkness that may try to access your mind. So you need a system that works. Many people do not have a system that works that they can use to fight the enemy, but you need a system that works for you. You need light, you need detection, you need an alarm system that warns you when the enemy is stepping into your territory, and you need the weapons. We talked last time about the Word of God being a weapon, and we had a prop gun here. The Word of God is a sword of the Spirit. That is the weapon. Now, you may have head knowledge of Scripture. It is not going to help you, because head knowledge is like a blank cartridge. right? Head knowledge is a blank cartridge. You stored it in your mind, but you have not rubbed it deep in your soul until it became Rema. When logos ceases to be logos and become Rema, then the word is powerful, effective enough to accomplish its purposes. It is when the word of God is loaded. It is when you load the word of God into your spirit, then your spirit is armed to fight. So your spirit will not be able to fight without you giving it weapons that it needs to fight. And some of the weapons that your spirit needs to fight is the word of God, is memorizing scripture, storing scripture in your spirit. When your spirit gets a hold of the word is no longer just a word, but it's a animated word. It's a quickened word. It is a breathed on word. It's a word that God has breathed upon. It's quickened. It's alive. It's effectual. It's illumination. It's something that is living. That's why Jesus could say, the words that I speak to you, they're not just words. They are living. They're lively. So we have to watch out for the intrusion of the enemy's thoughts. We have to have a system that puts a light on the enemy. What the motion lights will do is that if anybody walks next to the motion lights, they turn on it immediately. They bring the enemy into a focus of realizing I'm being watched. So you don't have just the light, you have light and detection. So the detection and light work together to illuminate the enemy. How do you illuminate the enemy? You illuminate the enemy when you allow knowledge about the enemy to be exposed. That is when you learn about the strategies and the plans of the enemy, how it is working in your life. Without the knowledge of how the enemy is working in your life, you don't have a light on him. The problem in the church today is that we don't teach about the devil because we don't want to go there. The reality is that the enemy that is ignored is a dangerous enemy. If you ignore Iran and you don't insist that they don't make a weapon of mass destruction, they'll continue making it. But if they have people pressuring them and telling them to reveal what they're making in their industries, then there's someone always putting a light on them, revealing their strategy, revealing what they're doing in secret. When a rogue government is left alone unchecked, it will do dangerous things. So God has to bring the light on the enemy and expose him for who he is. That's what we're doing tonight. We're putting detection on the enemy. We want to show you how he is working so that you can know his strategies. When you know him, you put light on him. That is step number one. Put light on him. Reveal him. Learn about him. Somebody who doesn't know how he is enemy, and let me say it this way, if you do not know the strength of your enemy, you can't fight your enemy. Right? So you gotta have light on him. Light is revelation about your enemy, his weaknesses, his strength, how he is operating. But you need detection. You need an alarm system to fend off the intruders who come near to the physical house. All right? You need a defense against this enemy. And it's interesting that most of us needs, physical deterrent against burglars, but we do not put the same defense system upon our spiritual apparatus. We don't protect our members, okay? So we need a spiritual defense system that is more effective than the physical one. We need a spiritual detection system that is greater than ADT. We need a spiritual detection system that is greater than Vivint, something that can detect the enemy as it's coming upon our mind and protect our minds from infiltration of darkness. Those 4 words that I'm talking about, light, detection, alarm, weapons, those things give us a plan of how to fight the enemy. Can somebody tell me what is the use of light? Why do we need power of light? Why do we need electricity? So that you can see what's going on, right? Why do we put light around the house? To get rid of darkness. Yeah, so that you can see them, because if the light is out, if the building is well illuminated, it's a deterrent, because the enemy will not want to go close, because if cameras are around the building and there's no light, someone can still get away with it. But if you have light exposing the darkness, that is a deterrent. So what electricity will do, it will provide for illumination and identify persons or objects and it creates a psychological deterrent against criminals. Don't you think that we need to have a deterrent against the enemy? All right, good. So police, they also use something that is called modus operandi. How many of you know what a modus operandi is? Yeah. No, that's a Miranda right, okay? You have a Miranda right, but then you have a modus operandi. A modus, an MO. So when you hear the police saying that they have an MO on someone, it means that they have studied that person, they have exercised surveillance over that person, and they know how that person operates. So even without coming to an area and doing a lot of investigation, they can come and just arrest someone because they can see that person's fingerprints all over everything. It means that that person has a signature. You know, like the serial killers, they have a signature they leave on the bodies of their victims, and the police will tell this killing is similar to that killing, and you can connect this killing to this other 15 other killings. So we're dealing with one killer. It's called an MO. All right, tell somebody you got to get an MO on the devil. So Satan has enjoyed an obscurity for many years. He has enjoyed the years of people ignoring him. Church people think that he's a red guy wearing a suit with spandex, with a tail and pitchfork tail behind him. And that's what we assume that he is. But he is not that. When he appears to you, he's not going to appear to you wearing a spandex with the horns on top of his head. No, he's going to appear like an angel of light. And actually, most people who have encountered the devil, he showed up like an angel. He was illuminated. Well illuminated with light, and he was speaking like a saint. But when you rebuke him and say, who are you? All of a sudden it turns into this ugly looking thing. Why? Because he wanted to deceive you into thinking he is an angel of light. And many people have been deceived into not really learning about the devil's MO. We don't want to run a surveillance on him. We don't want to study him. We don't want to run about his modus operandi, because his method of operation, because we don't want to go there. We are afraid. Even Catholics do a better job. They do exorcism. What's the problem with many Pentecostal churches today? Catholics do exorcism. It's normal in the Catholic Church. What has happened to Pentecostal, charismatic, tongue-talking, Shande, Shande, take a ride in my Hyundai? What happened to Pentecostals? So that Latin phrase, mode of operation, in criminal law, it refers to a method of operation or a pattern or a behavior that is so distinctive that it separates crimes or wrongful conduct from one criminal to another. The police need to just look at the MO and they can tell this one is associated with so and so. This is not for this killer. This is for this other killer. See, if it matches the MO on the file, they have an idea of who might be committing the act. Do we always detect the devil that way to find out what his MO is, and we can tell this is a spirit of unforgiveness here. This is a spirit of bitterness that is operating here. Satan has a spiritual MO. You are acquiring light. You're acquiring knowledge today on him. Satan hates daylight. He only operates in the darkness. So if there's any area of your light that is full of darkness, it's time to put the light on. Tell somebody, put the light on that dark place. Give him not refuge. Because once light comes up, he's going to scream and say, I'm leaving. I can't dwell with the light on. Put light on those areas of your soul. Your soul has 3 chambers. Your soul has 3 rooms in it. One of the rooms is called the mind. The other room is called the emotions. And the other room is called the will. So you have the intellect, you have the emotions, and you have then you have the will, you have the mind, and you have the emotions. And all those 3 areas, Satan could hide in one of those and use one of those areas to attack you. That's why Jesus said, not my will, but your will be done. He wasn't willing to allow his own will. According to him, he said, Father, if this cup could pass from me, but not what I want, but what you want for me. It means that he was willing to submit his will to a higher will. How many times have you been independent from God, doing your own things, doing whatever you want to do, and God is saying, I want you to surrender your will to my will, not according to your plans, but according to God's plan? How many of you have gotten to a place where God told you, it's not going to be what you want, it's going to be what I want for you? So Satan must be detected. If you don't detect him, you're fighting shadows. You're fighting a ghost. You don't know what you're fighting. You got to detect him. You got to know who's crouching on the door of your heart, who is longing for expression deep within you. Watching always comes before praying. Tell somebody, watching comes before praying. Watch and pray. That's what Jesus said. He didn't say pray and watch. Watch and pray. So you gotta watch before you start praying. So we have to have a system that is able to watch the enemy. Evil is so insoluble and is relentless and is persistent, and the devil is never satisfied. The devil is more persistent and consistent, and is going to test you over and over again. You know, when they create any product, even a car, they take it through what is called thorough testing, equipment testing, to see how much that equipment can handle the stress that it's being exposed to. Satan will test your strength. He will test your inward strength to see if you can handle the trials and the temptation. Well, I just want the devil to leave me alone. He's not going to do that. If somebody told you that when you give your life to Christ, then you're going to just have a nice free life. No. The day you gave your life to Christ, problems increased. And they will intensify. Why? Because now inside of you, there's not just one nature, but inside of you there is two natures. Before you gave your life to Christ, you only had the old man in you. You did whatever you wanted. Nobody was fighting you. But then the moment you get born again, now you don't have just the old man. Now you have the old man and the new man inside of you. The two of them are fighting for rulership. Satan wants to rule you through your old man. God wants to rule you through your new nature. The question is, whom are you going to choose? Satan will bring suggestions into your mind consistently. He doesn't slow down, I tell you that. He's going to keep on throwing these thoughts into your mind. And let me tell you something. It's not your thoughts. Tell your neighbor, it's not my thoughts. Somebody's giving me these thoughts. Is the one who put those homosexual thoughts in your mind. Is the one who puts those perverted thoughts in your mind. Is the one who puts those confusion thoughts in your mind. Is the one who's telling you, oh, you're born this way. Nobody was born gay. Nobody was born lesbian. That is a behavioral problem. That is a perversion of a natural behavior. Who brings that spirit, that unclean spirit? Who puts it in your mind? It's the devil, because he wants you to act unnaturally. Some parts of your body were made for pooping. You'll figure it out tomorrow. Satan is so clever that he is going to even use some part, sometimes to attack you. He is going to use self, and you're going to think that this is you. It's going to be disguised as you. Let's look at Galatians chapter 5 verses 19. It says, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are this: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness. It goes down the list, and it says all those who practice those things, including homosexual sins, will not inherit the kingdom of God. But it's not just homosexuals. He says drunkards, thieves, adulterers, fornicators, all of them are grouped together. The church has been quick to only point to the homosexuals, but in the church we have adulterers, we have thieves, we have slanderers, we have immoral people. God says how the grouping of people will not inherit the kingdom of God. Let's put the spotlight. You can be seated. Let's put a spotlight. Good to see you. Let's put a spotlight on anger and abusive. Do you blow off steam occasionally? You get upset really quickly. Do you have a weak temper, or what you call a short fuse? People tell you something and all of a sudden you get upset really quickly. Do you discipline your children in anger? Do you speak your mind regardless of how it might affect other people? Ask yourself this question. If you speak your mind, does the word that come out of your mouth hurt people? Because words are like swords, they pierce. Coveting, let's look at coveting. Wanting things. So you long to get things. You invest considerable energy in dreaming of things you see other people enjoying. You want what they want. That's covetousness. The mere sight of things you don't have makes you want them. I wish I had what that person have. Why can I have that? I just want to have that. Covetousness. Oh, it's natural to want what people... No, the Bible calls it covetousness. You got to let it go. So if that is in your life, covetousness, then there's an issue. How do you renounce it? Just begin to say, Lord, I renounce this from my mind, from my will, from my emotions. I renounce covetousness. I renounce wanting other people's things. Let me tell you something about wanting other people's things. You do not know the price that they've paid for what they have. And you may want it, but are you willing to go through what they've gone through to get what they have? Amen? Then we have depression and negative thinking. Do you have negative feelings about life? Do you dwell on your problems? Does life seem to be too much for you at some times? Does disappointment carry you into the depths and mood swings overtake you at times? Do you feel like the walls are closing in? That could be a sign of depression. Are you hard to please? Do you find it easy to complain at your job against your mate, against your spouse, against your neighbor, against how things are working in your life? You're dissatisfied with your place in this world. That could be a spirit of discontentment. What about distraction? You can't seem to focus on Christ. It is hard to read the Bible or to make sense out of what the Bible says. Days fly by without nothing done in your life. You're just wasting time. You're just flowing with time. No definite plan of serving Jesus. Do you always get interrupted when you attempt to do something for the Lord? All of a sudden something comes up and they block you. You may be dealing with the spirit of distraction and interruption, or what is called the spirit of inhibition. Do you divide people over the doctrine? That could be a demon. You divide people at the top of a hat. You're right in what you say, and if others don't agree with your opinion, conversation is over. Does unity have priority in your thinking? The unity of the body, or do you divide the body? Are you contentious and insisting on an idea to the point of creating division and dividing people in a matter of faith? That could be a spirit of dividing people over the doctrine, or some people call it fanaticism. What about doubt? You doubt your salvation from time to time? Have you done that? You begin to see your life as a failure. Do you retreat at the first sign of failure? When you fail even once, you begin to retreat. You give up on the planet easily. You want to die. You quit when things don't turn out to be harder than you first supposed that they will be. You want to quit on life. You want to give up. That could be a spirit of doubt. What about phobias? Fear. Are you afraid of the dark? Afraid of being assaulted? Afraid to speak out for Christ? Afraid to go tell people about your faith? Afraid of fire? Afraid of death? Afraid of loneliness? God has not given us a spirit of fear, but He has given us a spirit of love and a spirit of power and a sound mind. So you may have some phobia, some manner of phobia in your life. What about gluttony? Some people think that that's not a spirit. There's a spirit called gluttony and obesity. Satan is urging you to take just one little more bite of junk food, or sip one more soda. Do you splurge when no one is looking? Do you say to yourself, I can get away with overeating because I can go to a diet anytime I want? It could be a spirit of gluttony. A spirit that whispers to you, I mean, you've eaten your food and you're full, but the spirit tells you to go check the refrigerator. Have you ever found yourself on the refrigerator checking the inside, even though you've just eaten your meal? What can I snack on? That's a spirit that whispers to you and says, add some more flabs. Don't make your belly your God. The Bible says some have made their bellies their gods. Amen. Put a knife on your throat and say, I'm not going to be tempted to overeat. There's nothing like a supernatural weight loss. You have to repent. The body is like a spoiled brat. It needs to be told no. Tell somebody, this body is a spoiled brat. It wants what it wants. And you got to get a backbone of telling your body, no, I'm not feeding you that. You just ate veggies. What about gossip? Do you cloak your words by a spirit of piety? You know, Christians have developed a spirit of piety, of cloaking their gossip by saying, do you say something like this? I should say this, but you ought to know about it. Then you can pray for such person because I just couldn't help. I had to share it with you. I don't mean in a bad way, but I got to share with you. That gossip is from the pit of hell. Resist it. Fight it. What about idolatry? You're guilty of idolatry when you permit anything to come between you and the Lord. Anything, wife, children, jobs, you can't permit anything to come between you and the Lord. We all break this commandment one way or the other. Anything that is put above God is idolatry. Tell somebody, everything that's put above God is idolatry. That includes family situations. That includes overtime pay. Did I just touch some nerve? You give anything a priority, your commitment to Christ is divided. That's idolatry. What about jealousy? You complain that your neighbor has money more than you do. You're jealous that someone has a better car and home than you do. Are you upset that someone else gets promoted over you, even though you are better qualified? Jealousy. Now, I'm sharing you with because the devil is that cunning, okay? You can think, oh, it's normal to look at somebody else who's getting blessed in life and to say, snobs. So jealousy can be bad. It can destroy. You're driving your classy chassis on the road, and then you see someone with an Escalade. And you're like, oh Lord, I've been keeping myself pure for no reason at all. That sinner is driving a much more better car than I do. Jealousy, stop it. Stop it. What about judgmental spirit? Do you measure others by yourself? What about lazy and wasteful living? Are you taking your time at home? You know the Great Commission, but you do not want to do it. You do not want to go out and preach for souls. You do not want to effectively witness for Jesus. You are tired over your work. So you give that as an excuse. I'm not going to preach. I'm just going to stay home. I'm tired. I've been working this whole week and I'm tired. Satan could enter through these things, and without even knowing it, you're just going through your life, and he has already taken one area of your life and he's using it to express himself. What about lust? Immoral thoughts in your mind that are triggered by a stimuli of evil. Frequenting your imagination, you're indulging in an unclean thought and you're permitting them to rule over your mind. You're allowing them to harass your thought without saying, I rebuke that thought, I take that captive, I bring it under the dominion of the name of Christ Jesus. You just let the thoughts dominate your mind and run through it, and you find yourself sitting there ruminating over thoughts that you should have dismissed. The body will only execute something that is already taking place in your mind. Tell somebody, your body will only do what your mind is already thinking. Satan uses this step all the time. He doesn't miss. He always uses this. It's the thought that is thrown into your mind. You process your thought. How do you process thought? Your emotions. Your emotions get involved over the thought. You start thinking over the thought. You ruminate over it. You chew it. You swallow it. You allow it to go deep. You allow it, the tentacles of this thought, to go deep into your soul. You start thinking and feeling things, and before you know it, you're acting on it. Satan will not do anything until you act on it. He just waits for you to act, because once you acted, you have opened the door. The will of man is the key that unlocks the door of the soul to satanic oppression. So Satan will just put the thought in your mind, wait to see what you do with it. Tell somebody, if it doesn't move, it's not bait. So Satan will keep throwing thoughts to see whether you're going to move. If you don't move, it's just going to keep putting the pressure, piling the pressure, piling the pressure. He wants to see if you are acting on it, because the moment you act on it, a stronghold has been established. Now, it can come and dwell in that stronghold, and sometimes Satan can hide for 10 years without showing up. And the deliverance minister can yell and scream all he wants to. Satan is not going anywhere. If a crowd of people are walking, and then there's someone walking in that crowd, and his name is Jane, and then you say, John, will Jane respond? Who will respond? If you say John, who is going to respond? John. Demons are like that too. They will not respond if you don't mention their name. So they hide inside someone, sometimes for 5 years or even 10 years. They're not responding to anything because they're laying low. They're waiting for a perfect opportunity. At the point of your vulnerability and weakness, they explode in your life, and all of a sudden there's all these attacks that you did not imagine will be there. The things you imagine, the thing you last in your heart, God considers it as a physical. So just to look at pornography, according to God, you've already slept with somebody, even though you didn't sleep with them physically. You've just slept with them in your imagination. And the imagination is so real for God that if you sleep with them in your imagination, you've committed adultery already in your heart. Because when you're watching that film, you're forcing Jesus to look at it too, because he lives in you. Your eyes should be pure. So when I look at evil things, I'm forcing him to look at it. Do you want his lovely eyes to behold filth? So when you look at someone who has a demon in their eye, if the demon is in them, it does not want to look into your eyes. That is, if your soul is pure. Demons will not dare look into your eyes, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. But if your eyes are not pure, demons can look into your eyes and not blink. They don't care, because your eyes are blocked with darkness that has engulfed your soul. In many churches, they tell men pornography is okay, it's a man problem. No, it's not a man problem. Discipline your flesh. Say no to appetites of the devil. Men forcing their wives to have sodomy, that is unacceptable in a Christian marriage. Oral sex is unacceptable in a Christian marriage. It's ungodly. It's a pagan act of depravity that is not supposed to be put in a Christian marriage. Oh, well, in the marriage bed, anything can happen. No. The acts of Sodom cannot be brought into a marriage bed. You can't make your wife play act. You want your wife to dress like a nurse because that's what you're watching. And most men do that. They tell their wives to dress some certain clothes. Where did you watch the clothes? Where did you see the clothes so that you can force your wife to wear them? Are you trying to compare your wife with somebody else that you've been watching? Ouch. Ouch. You want to put the lights out because you don't want to see their face because you've seen somebody else's face. Ouch. There is something in you that is longing to be fed. There is something in you that is longing to express itself. Is it God or is it a demon that is longing for you to give it something to eat? It's demanding for an appetite. It's looking for a menu. And if you look at that menu is not godly menu. It's not a godly menu. It's a menu that is from the pit of hell. And you can tell that something in you is craving for something wrong. You gotta deny that thing. If you don't, you'll wind up killing someone like Cain. Cain had a spirit of murder lurking deep within him, longing for expression. He permitted that demon to come out. He killed his brother. If he fought, he could have held back that demon from killing his brother. He chose. Tell somebody there's a choice. The devil didn't make you do it. You chose to do it. Oh, the devil made me. No, the devil doesn't make anybody do anything. He may pressure you, but you still act. You choose to act and do it. Selfish pride. What about selfish pride? Are you one with a big ego? You're so self-centered that you give credit to yourself. You don't give credit to anybody but yourself. Is Jesus left out in your testament from your mouth? Do you proudly proclaim, I did this using my own strength? You proclaim yourself to be your own God. You're worthy of your own praise. Do you put yourself first ahead of God? If you want God to use you, you'll get to a point where even if people come and tell you thank you, you'll refuse that thank because you didn't do anything. You understand that God just used you as a vessel. You didn't do anything. He did it. So why should people come and thank you for what you did? You did nothing. You put yourself in alignment with the Spirit of God for Him to use you. But after that, it's nothing to do with you. It's everything to do with Him. So if you're proud enough to say, oh, thank you. I did that because I've been fasting for 3 days. Pride. Unforgiveness and resentment. Does resentment rise quickly when someone disagrees with you? How do you react when you hear, what someone has to say about you? Do you immediately get upset? Do you speak against them? Do you do a YouTube video to debunk them? Or do you forgive the person and say, Lord, vengeance belongs to you. I will not waste my time getting that low. I'll let you deal with it, but I'll continue to pray that you bless them. What about worry and anxiety and stress? Are you so anxious about the future? Do you fret? You know, there's things that we call normal concerns. And normal concerns, you can actually plan for them. You can have a plan to deal with normal concerns. So we're not talking about normal concerns, but we are talking about lack of trust in God's promises to provide for your every need. Tell somebody, my God shall supply all my needs. He didn't say some of your needs, all your needs. So anytime there's a mental stress which suggests that God cannot handle your problem, you're overlooking God and you're entering into a satanic territory of doubt and mistrust. Anytime that you think, oh, God can solve my problem, He can solve everybody else's problem but not mine, you're in a very dangerous territory. It is what is called satanic worry. So I've given you just a few things. I've touched on a few things. So this is what you need to do. When you know a weak area in your life, select that area of weakness that you want to work on. And then work on eliminating those weaknesses one at a time. Because the weakness you don't deal with now, the devil will use it to bring you down tomorrow. Satan will wait until your name is big, because then you have 1 million of people following you. It can bring you down plus the millions who follow you. So if there's something in your life now that you know is a weakness, if you don't deal with it now, Satan is going to use it tomorrow to embarrass you publicly. The media in America, is not nice. So deal with your issue before they bring it out. So while nobody knows you right now, work on every issue. Say like Jesus, Satan can find nothing in me. to work with. Hallelujah. Make sure that he cannot find an area in your life that he can put his finger on. Deny him access to any member of your body. Concentrate on one big area and knock that out. Then go to the next one, knock it out. Go to every area of your life. Set a trap for the enemy. And I'm going to show you.